Hey guys. Well, I want to talk about Doom: The Dark Ages today. If you didn't know, there was an Xbox showcase today, and it showed a bunch of games off, including extended gameplay and discussion about Doom: The Dark Ages. Game I'm very much looking forward to. Doom Eternal is probably in like my top 10 games of all time. Extremely good game. I actually didn't know the showcase was happening today, and I got linked to it like right when the Doom bit came on, and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm really excited. Let me pull this up." And I pulled it up, and I wasn't expecting to feel so conflicted on this trailer. I immediately started recording this because I'm kind of worried of what's going on here. Let me explain. So they showed off that this game is going to be different from the other Doom games so far in a sense that it focuses on a new type of combat, or a new style of combat, more focus on exploration and more focus on story, which I don't know. As a fan of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, those are all things that I didn't really want to be. It feels like we're doing a 180, you know. Instead of acrobatics and stuff and focusing on like parkour and jumping around and stuff like in Doom Eternal, it's gonna be more like, yeah, you stand and you fight. You're like a tank. You like sit there and you bang 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 bash on the demons, trudge over and hit the other guy. It's a lot more slower combat. Projectile speed from the enemies is slower, more like the old Doom games where you can like strafe around them, which is kind of neat. But I don't know. I wasn't expecting such a focus on a slower paced combat. It looks like they removed glory kills as well, which I mean I'm not too upset about. But I don't know. It seems like a pretty radical change, and I'm kind of afraid that they took the wrong feedback back from Doom Eternal. I mean, as some of you may know, Doom Eternal is still a pretty contentious game on whether people think it's good or not. A lot of fans of Doom Eternal will say it's one of the best games ever made, me included. It's one of the best games ever made. The combat system is incredible. It's rewarding. It's fun. There's a high skill ceiling. There's a lot of player expression that it brings to the table. It's a very freeing combat system that is not going to sit that well with a lot of other people because it's very hard and it requires you to pull off a lot of very fast, high-paced maneuvers and inputs that a lot of casual players might not be able to do as well. So there was a lot of feedback coming from Doom Eternal that, you know, it just wasn't it wasn't something people wanted. And again, I feel like the fans of Doom Eternal know that it's a really, really great game, and if you actually put the time and skill investment into it, you would understand. But to a casual's perspective, Doom Eternal was a step back from Doom 2016 for them, because Doom 2016 was much easier just to run and gun and simply shoot your way through the game with little issues. Doom Eternal is definitely a harder game. It's very hard. I mean, even the DLC in that game is fucking brutal, dude. Absolutely brutal. So I don't know. I'm just getting the feeling from this trailer that they are going in the opposite direction with Doom: The Dark Ages, and I'm a little disappointed by that. But I'm going to trust that they're doing something unique and cool, and maybe it'll be super cool. Again, I don't think the game's going to be bad by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just worried that it's going to go in a direction that, personally, I don't think is very Doom, at least modern Doom. And further exemplified by, I think the other things they're talking about is they're expanding exploration. They're doing more of like you go out into like a little sandbox and then like return back after you're done with what you're doing out there. There's more like puzzles and like scattered around, and that's fine. But I don't know. Am I crazy for just wanting a linear game? I think Doom and Doom Eternal are two of the best linear single-player games that have come out in the past decade, and I don't feel like we should be trying to go all sandboxy and exploration on. I don't know. Like, I feel like the other games had a pretty good mix of trying to find the secrets and everything, and a lot of them were very well hidden behind some little puzzles and environmental obscurities, and I think that was already pretty good. I feel like we don't need to go in a. I don't know. I hear the term sandbox dropped in this trailer, and I'm like, I'm not sure I wanted a sandbox, man. And also, they really tried to put a big emphasis on the story, which was probably the most perplexing thing to me in this trailer. Does anyone care? Like, I mean, I think the Doom, especially even the modern Doom lore and characters and stuff are interesting. I do think they are. But when I'm playing Doom Eternal and Doom in 2016, I really... The story takes a huge back seat. Like, I got the story. I understood it when I played it. But, like, I wasn't sitting there reading the files. I still haven't. I don't really want a story with a heavy amount of cutscenes and dialogue and reading and characters. That's really not that interesting to me, and I'm afraid that they described it as a summer blockbuster where you're in control, and I'm like, is that what you want? Is that what you want Doom to be? Do we want Doom to be a summer blockbuster? I don't think Doom is interesting as a summer blockbuster. The concept of watching Doom versus playing Doom is, I don't know. I just feel like if I just sit in a cutscene for more than 2 minutes in a Doom game, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, frankly, like, I just feel like that's just not the time and place for that. Like, I don't know, man. I just wasn't expecting going into this trailer for them to be focusing on these aspects and putting so much emphasis on them like that. Like, the last thing I would have expected was an emphasis on slower combat, more exploration, and more story. Hey, editing Asia Crazy here. I just wanted to insert, because I forgot to mention it, that I'm also afraid they also showed off in the game that there are settings that you can fine-tune that basically control every aspect of the game, so that you can fine-tune to your liking, including enemy speed, enemy aggression, player speed, all that. And before anyone gets in the comments and says, like, oh, like, well, if you don't like how slow it is, just turn up all the settings to speed. Like, I already know that as soon as I saw those settings, I was like, oh man, people are gonna use this as like a cop out for why a game isn't why the game isn't designed in a way that people would like. That doesn't work, because the game is not designed around those things. That's just like saying in another game, well, if you don't like how easy the game is, put it on expert mode. It's like, well, the game isn't designed around expert mode when enemies have like 3,000 HP or like double speed. It makes the game, usually settings like that usually make the game exorbitantly easy or exorbitantly difficult, to the point where it's just not even, it's not like the game... Unless the game is designed around every single permutation of that, that's just not a solution. That's not a proper solution. It might be fun to try out for a while or do a little challenge run on, but it's not a solution to just, oh, well, if you wanted to play like Eternal, just turn the speed up. Like, that's not going to make it play like Eternal. It's going to make it play like fast Dark Ages. and the game is not designed to be fast. They already told us that. So just putting that out there right here before I get back to the rest of the video, because I thought that was important to mention, because whenever settings like this come up, people love to bring it up like, oh, well, just, if you don't like it, just don't use it, or don't fucking turn the setting on, or blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, that doesn't fix the design of the game. Anyway, bye-bye. In my Doom game, like, that, it made me a little concerned. Like, I was like, again, I feel like maybe they really took the feedback from Eternal to heart, and they're like trying to course correct to get casuals on board, because they also made a very big point of saying like, hey, this is a prequel to Doom 2016, so if you're new to the series, come on, you could start here, come on. So I feel like they're really trying to focus on that. And oh yeah, we got confirmation that Mick Gordon's not returning for the soundtrack. We already knew that, but hopefully the soundtrack is at the standard. I mean, it sounded fine from what we saw in this trailers, but I mean, I need to see the songs in full to really get a grasp on that. And one other thing I'd like to mention is, again, the reason why I feel like maybe they're going in like more of a casual route for this game is they really put this emphasis on like these like set piece segments where like you're piloting a giant robot and like a dragon and stuff. And yeah, that looks cool, but I mean, listen, anyone who's played any substantial amount of video games can tell you that pieces like that are usually they don't have that much, and they tried to say no, it has a lot of depth, it has a lot of mechanics, it's not going to be the only time you're doing it, it's not going to be like a one-time one level thing. But I don't know, usually when a game focuses on a gimmick like that, and it's like, imagine, like, remember like the Batmobile in a freaking the fourth Arkham game, Arkham Knight, like, everyone knows that's like the worst part of the game. You have to do it a lot. And recently, games that I've been playing, Bayonetta 3, I feel like focused on the gimmick of giant summons a lot, to the point where it kind of turned me off the game. It wasn't that interesting. I'm kind of afraid that maybe the giant robot in the dragon section is going to show up a little too much, or it's going to be too simple and not that interesting. And I would have rather had more actual Doom levels than sections like that, because I'm thinking these are probably a lot slower paced segments that you don't have as much control of the speed over. So I'm just concerned about that. I'm just concerned that those sections are going to bring down the campaign as a whole, especially on replays, because I find Doom and Doom Eternal very replayable games. And I feel like sections that are more stilted like that might hurt the game a little more than I would like. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully everything will be fine and dandy and it'll all be hunky-dory. But I don't know. I just walked away from that trailer a lot more concerned than I expected to be. So we'll see when it comes out, but that's going to do it for me. I'll check you on the next one. Bye-bye.